Welcome to Partners in Ministry. I'm your host, Dan Smith, and today I'll be joined by Jacob Newton. Jacob is the director of the Kaleo Academy in Haviland, Kansas. Welcome, Jacob, and thanks for joining me today.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Get things started. Why don't you give us just a brief history of the Kaleo Academy?
Sure, I will do my best. So Kaleo Academy the idea was started probably in 2016, maybe even as early as late 2015, as a leadership program for the Evangelical Friends Church. That's kind of when the idea started forming. And I actually was not a part of the initial dreaming and idea of the program. So that's why I say I'll do my best of the history there. But I know some people in Mid-America Yearly Meeting and specifically around Barclay we're looking for an idea to have a program to help train up future leaders in the church, specifically high school students. Obviously, the college works with college students, but even younger than that. And so, like our mission statement on the website and things like that, Kaleo Academy is a program that provides training for emerging leaders, student leaders from the Evangelical Friends Church around the world. The program is presented in a blended format, beginning with a camp at Barclay College on campus there, and the lessons learned at camp are then further developed through a 10-month program follow-up. And so, as I said, I wasn't around during the initial inception of the college or of the Kaleo Academy program, but I have heard through discussions with people, like really, this idea just came around of, is there a better way that we can be a little bit more intentional about training some specific leaders, students who were showing like more maturity, more leadership potential, and not to knock any other programs or anything like that, but like obviously a lot of our yearly meetings in places have summer camps, have maybe some short-term mission trips, things like that, and those are all great. I mean, I got saved at a summer camp. I volunteered for a summer camp for many years. Like I love summer camp, but those kind of programs, we were seeing that they were like invite anybody type programs, like just get them there. And we were looking for something that was maybe a next step program of like being a little more selective of who is invited, people who are a little more serious, who showed some, like I said, some more leadership potential. And so this idea of Kaleo Academy kind of came out of that as like a response to a little bit of what's referred to as like the leadership vacuum. And I can talk more about that later, but I don't know about where you are, but where I am, I know there's kind of like in the church world, I don't know, maybe beyond the church world, but in the church world for sure, like a lack, or there's kind of like this concern of who's the next generation of leaders, who are the next generation of pastors, who are the next generation of like people going to serve on elder boards and things like that. And so it was kind of born out of that of like, what if we can intentionally train some of these younger people, so that we can intentionally reach out to youth and identify them to be serving in their local church, whether that's as a pastor or not.
Yeah, I know having a degree in Christian education from Wheaton College, the change that's happened in the church world as well as the secular world is that we've moved away from training and equipping people to be independent thinkers and conversationalists to regurgitating data and basically almost confrontational instead. And leadership is just really lacking. So it's really good to see that Barclay College is stepping up and saying, hey, look, it's not enough just to give kids information. We really do need to prepare them to take leadership, to be influencers. So when did you first start working with Kaleo Academy then?
Yeah, so I officially came on in 2023. So like a little before the summer of 2023, probably end of May. So I've only officially been on staff for about a year and a half. And
you're employed by Barclay College, or is it independent, or?
Yeah. So technically, Kaleo, it's through Barclay. So I'm on staff there.
Tell us a little bit about the journey God's taking you on then to prepare you to be the director at Kaleo.
Yeah, for sure. So as I mentioned, Kaleo officially started in 2017. That was when they had their very first cohort, is what we call it. So we had the students come together on campus with their mentors in the summer of 2017. And so at that time, I was a youth pastor at Meridian Friends Church in Idaho. And I was a youth pastor there for almost a decade. But in 2017, it was probably around the middle of my time there. I don't know if I had heard about Kaleo or somehow, but actually one of the youth in my youth group heard about it somehow. I think Barclay College, who was one of the directors at the time, came and spoke at Northwest yearly meeting sessions in the summer, and that's how she heard about it. But I don't know. I can't take credit for this, but a youth in my youth group heard about the program, and she wanted to be a part of it. And so she asked me, she's like, I want to go to this. And I was like, okay. And the program is designed for a youth to come and they bring a mentor with them, an older mentor with them from their church. And so she wanted to go, and she asked my wife to go and be her mentor. So from the very beginning of the program, since its very first cohort that happened, I've been aware of it because we had a girl in our youth group take part in it, and my wife was a mentor. And so I knew about it all the way from the beginning, but that's kind of, for a long time, I just knew that this program existed.
Sure.
And so, yeah, like when it started, the two women who were like the director and the co-director, Barclay College and Katie Moran, they were the leaders of Kaleo from the beginning and for a very long time. I got to know them. I don't know if you're aware of Friends Summit. It's like a youth national Friends Youth Retreat that happens once every 4 years. And so right after that first summit, summer of 2017 is when that first summit happened. The winter of 2018, there was a Friends Summit. And I was helping to plan a little bit of that Friends Summit, on some of the logistics side of that, being a youth pastor at a Friends church. And Barclay and Katie were also helping to plan that, trying to get Kaleo incorporated. And so we would meet on Zoom once a month, us and a few other people, and then we'd get together a few times in person a year, and then obviously at Summit. So I was working alongside in a way with Barclay and Katie for planning Friends Summit. And so just got to know them a little bit, got to talk about Kaleo, got to talk about all the different kinds of stuff. So I formed a relationship with them through that for a few years. And then it's all just kind of up to God and his timing.
Yeah.
So around sometime early 2023, the church that I was at was kind of going through a transition, and my role as the youth pastor was kind of changing a little bit. And so I was going to be stepping out of that. And at the same time, Barclay, some things were changing at Barclay. She was going to be taking on a few more responsibilities. She actually stepped in to become the chair of the youth ministry department. And so she was feeling like, I can't do this and teach all the classes that I have to do and continue to do Kaleo. And so we were both just kind of finding ourselves in transitions at the same time. And she knew about me in my transition at the church. And so I'm pretty sure it was Katie. I can't remember. It's been a while now, but one of them called me and, asked if I'd be interested in even considering coming on at Kaleo. And I was like, I actually think I really would, but I just need to think a little bit more about it and pray about it. And so, yeah, it was just one of those, in a way, right time, right place kind of things. I mean, I love the work and it's something I'm passionate about, obviously continuing to work with youth in the Friends Church, obviously doing that for so long as the youth pastor of a church. It just kind of felt like the natural next step, things like that. But yeah, it was really kind of just good timing in a way.
Yeah, having been a youth pastor myself, I know anytime you can find somebody like a Kaleo that can take a certain portion of the training, equipping, and growth process for your youth who really concentrate on that can do it really, really well is so much better than trying to do it yourself. So, it just really frees you up to basically say, okay, this is what's happening in leadership training. Now, my job is when they come back is to incorporate what they've grown and what they're doing into the program rather than trying to think it up from the very beginning. So I can really see how Kaleo is a great partner for anybody that's doing youth ministry.
Yeah.
Now, obviously you're working through the Friends Church. Is that the only way that you can get involved in Kaleo, or are you open to having people be involved with it or from different faith organizations?
Yeah. No, actually, this past summer, the 2024 cohort, we had one student who she doesn't currently attend a Friends Church. She's not from a Friends Church. Her grandma, I think, does or was, and that's how she even knew about it. Grandma heard about Kaleo and kind of plugged in her granddaughter on that. So yeah, I mean, during the program, obviously, we kind of come at it from a friend's perspective, and we talk a little bit about Friends history and things like that. But it's not exclusive to Friends, if that
Sure.
makes sense. Yeah.
Well, as you look at the program of Kaleo, help us go through the transformation process that happens in the lives of a youth from, I think you said it starts with a camp and then there's some other things that are going on. So kind of step us through what that looks like from a kid's standpoint, from a leader, youth leader.
Sure. So even before they come, I think I've mentioned it a few times, it's designed for a youth and a mentor. They have to come with somebody from their local church. And so once they identify that they want to come, whether they self-decide they want to come, like that girl from my church, where she heard about it and said, I want to go to this, or sometimes we work alongside pastors that we know or other people in churches and say, like, do you know anybody at your church who would be good for this? And so sometimes an elder or a pastor or somebody might identify a youth and say, you should think about this. But once they decide that they're going to come one way or another, they have to pick a mentor to come with them. And so that's part of the process as well, is like deciding who they want to come. And we've had all different kinds. You know, we've had youth come with young college kids as their mentor. We've had youth come with like, you know, a 60-year-old woman from their church as a mentor. It's really cool to see who the kids pick as their mentor. I guess they don't always fit the bill of what you think a high schooler would pick. So that's really cool. But yeah, once they decide that, then they come on campus at Barclay. It's a week-long program in the summer. And so they stay on campus, and it's they get there Sunday, just kind of fun, get to know you, hang out Sunday night. Then Monday through Friday is the real like meat of the program. And so each day is a different focus, and it starts in the morning with like a class. There's a different teacher who teaches kind of a class. So like the first day is on biblical interpretation. And so they'll sit in one of the classrooms there. They'll have a professor. I mean, in the past, it's been a professor of Barclay. It could be someone else, but go through like a biblical interpretation class for about an hour and a half or so. Then they'll break. Then they'll do lunch. Then they'll go practice kind of what they learned. And then all the while they're meeting with their mentor, going over things. We kind of break them up into little groups. And so, you know, if there's like 10 students and 10 mentors there might be 3 different groups of like, you know, only 6 at a time. And so we're constantly breaking them up with their small groups and talking things. So each day, that's kind of the routine. And we intersperse a few fun things in there. Like one night we'll go up the road and go to a pool and go swimming, or go watch a movie or something. So we call it theology camp, and in many ways, the schedule and the things kind of may mirror a summer camp, in the sense, you know, like we might do a game or two here. Obviously, we go swimming, things like that. But the mornings, for sure, the mornings until lunch are pretty academic, in the sense that, I mean, we really are sitting in a classroom setting at the campus there and kind of having someone give a little bit of a lecture and talk about that. So And then after that, so they're there on campus for a week. Then is the 10-month follow-up program. And so one of the things that we talk about there is, we talk about what it looks like to be a leader. One of the days is on leadership, and one of the days is also on like serving and like, I'm trying to find the right word for this, but like actually making, going out and making a difference and serving and doing some kind of project. And so the 10-month follow-up, they're supposed to meet with their mentors when they go back home at least once a month. We encourage twice a month, but we know people get busy once the school season starts. And so they're supposed to meet with their mentor at least once a month and kind of go over. We have some prompted questions for them to go over and continue chatting about for those 10 months. And they actually have the opportunity to get college credit through this program. And so if there's a few things that they have to do online, if they opt in for that through Barclay, and they can answer some questions and write a little paper here and there, and they can get college credit. So far, our group this year, I think, is the highest potential of doing, I think out of the 9 of them, like 8 or 7 of them are on track to get the college credit. And so that's been exciting for us. We've only offered that as college credit for the past couple of times. That's a fairly new addition, but a lot of them are really latching onto that. But for 10 months, they meet with their people, and then they wrap it up by doing what we call the release project. And it's really where they and their mentor can come up with whatever they want, any kind of idea. Just the goal is to come up with some kind of project that is going to serve their local community, whether that's their church, their school, their actual community, whatever they want to do. And so we've had all kinds of very interesting projects, but that's kind of the end, so to speak. So around March or April, the following. So if they do Kaleo in June, the next March or April, they'll kind of be done, so to speak.
Yeah. So it really does sound like that. Probably one of the biggest transformations that's happening with these kids. First of all, there's the whole theological part of it. In other words, that's the foundation on which we understand life going forward, and how we're going to make decisions, and what we're going to hold on to as truths, and what we need to kind of dismiss as not necessarily something that we should be keeping in our life. But that is just the foundation to start the work of service.
Oh yeah,
your church or your school or whatever. And so now they've got a practicum is what it amounts to, with a mentor along the way. Does that connection between the mentor and the student stay for more than the 10 months? Have you?
Oh yeah, we've had many of them who say they still meet. They're together, and actually, it's been really cool. We've started to see this last year and the year before some of those students who were they were on the student side of things, maybe in that first cohort or the second cohort, so 2017 or 2018, they've started to come back now as the mentors for a new generation. So like this past summer, we had a girl who came as a mentor to a younger girl, and she actually did Kaleo as a student all the way back then. And so that's kind of cool to kind of see some of those people who have come, they're
of a second generation.
Yeah. Maybe they promoted it to them, or maybe when this new girl was thinking about coming, she was like, oh, I know that she did it, so I'm going to have her be my mentor. I don't know how it worked out, but either way, it's kind of cool to see them come back in a new way.
Well, it really, Jacob, when I think about it, it really just sounds like a discipleship program. I mean, it sounds like a contemporary discipleship program. What you're doing is you've got your rabbi, teacher, or mentor, and you've got your student, and they're learning from it, but they're learning how to serve, so they can turn right around and teach someone else behind them how to serve.
Yeah,
that's pretty awesome. So, hey, let's say that I'm a parent, a pastor, a community person, a youth, and I'm thinking, boy, you know what? This really sounds pretty cool. I really would like to learn more about it and see if I could get involved in it. What would be my first step if I wanted to find out more?
Yeah, for sure. If you want to find out more, obviously the first one would be to reach out to me. I think you can go to our website and find my information on there, and contact me, either text me or email me. And I think you're going to have that stuff on here maybe. But I would love to send you information on the next best way to get involved there and to get plugged in as we're doing that. For sure. I mean, if you're a pastor or an elder or even just a lay person at your church, like I can send you a lot of information and you can pass that along to whoever you think may need that in your church.
Great. Well, Jacob, thank you so much for your time. This has been really great to get to know the Academy a little bit better. So thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, if you've got any questions or if you'd like to learn more about Kaleo Academy, as Jacob mentioned, the contact information is right here on the screen. Give him a call, shoot him an email. You can also find it in the show notes for this episode on our website, or it's actually in the description of this YouTube video. If you'd like to support Kaleo financially, you can find links in both the show notes and this YouTube description to do so as well. So on behalf of Kaleo Academy, Jacob Newton, and Partners in Ministry, I want to thank you for joining us today. And until next time, let's get out there and serve as Christ serves.